Greetings everyone, wherever you are in our beautiful African continent. This week we're talking about kingdom leadership. We've been talking about kingdom leadership for the past 2 weeks, and we were talking about the attitudes of leadership. This week our topic is principles of leadership, and we've got 3 key things that we would like to talk about when it comes to principles of leadership. It is the multiplication versus addition, high potential versus low commitment, expectation versus input. And we will be speaking with Pastor Tofu again with regards to these principles of leadership.
Yes, let me also take the opportunity, Obulisa, to all the listeners. Yes, last week in fact, the week before last, we tackled the topic of kingdom leadership, but looking at self-leadership. And so last week we were looking at the attitude of leadership. Basically, we were covering what attitude helps make for a kingdom-minded leader.
Okay.
That is able to portray a semblance of Christ.
Okay.
So we were using the parallel of the leadership or the attitude towards leadership that Jesus had, and the attitude towards leadership the Pharisees had.
Okay.
So recognizing that Jesus came into a space where they were already leaders, and they had a particular way of dealing with leadership and their attitude towards leadership, which Jesus came and showed a different way and a different attitude that gave us more of a pattern towards a kingdom-minded leader.
Wow.
So there were about 6 points that we covered. I might not go through them now, but there were about 6 points that we covered that made up for an attitude that Jesus had towards leadership and how he walked and worked with people.
Okay.
In that sense. So this week, I believe we want to touch a little bit on some of the principles then Jesus used, or that the Bible teaches us, that can be applied virtually anywhere if we take leadership seriously.
Okay.
So this week we were basically looking at some of those principles.
The principles of leadership.
Principles of leadership from a kingdom perspective.
Okay. Yes. So our points for today will just focus on that, the principles of leadership.
So basically, yes, today I want to throw out three major principles that I think are very fundamental to a kingdom way of leading, whether you're in the workspace or whether you're in the church space or wherever you are leading. But I find these 3 principles to be quite helpful if you understand them in depth.
Okay. Yes. So sort of like making them your foundation. So when you lead, if we talk about principles, is it sort of like a foundation or a guide of how you should be? Yes.
So the thing with principles is that as long as you apply them, they have a way of responding back to you.
Wow. Okay.
So you might not even be a Christian, but as long as you apply the principle, it works out.
It works out, yeah.
It sort of provides sort of generic results.
Results, yes.
If you use them well. So I just want to throw 3 of those out.
Okay.
And we'll cover that for today.
Okay. One being?
I think the first one, which is important to tackle, we must understand that when we're talking kingdom, God tends to draw us to the whole scenario of seed, soil, and harvest. And
yes. We
begin to understand that as much as God created in the beginning, but now he no longer, if I may use the analogy, that he no longer makes trees, but he makes seeds.
Yes.
And so it's what we do with the seeds that matters.
Okay.
And his expectation is that wherever we are, because what we touched on the previous weeks was that the fact that you come to Christ, you come to a place of leadership.
Okay.
So then that in itself has an expectation on you, whether you're in politics, whether in business, whether you are leading a church, but there's an expectation that comes with being brought into that space of leadership. And the primary expectation is that which God has done to you, you are meant to replicate in other ways.
Okay.
So the expectation is for you to multiply that which you are.
Okay.
That's the starting point.
Okay.
And so if for an example, I'm leading a church, the expectations is not necessarily for me to grow the church in numbers, and that for me I would calculate as addition.
Oh.
But the expectation for me is to multiply that which I am.
Okay.
And so that for me is a very fundamental principle, especially if you're working in the field of business. Take for an example, you are being called to lead in the business space. And in that space, you are primarily ordained not to make as much money as possible, though the bottom line is important, the profit bottom line is important. But as a child of God in the business space, your bottom line, which is most important, is not to make as much money as possible, but it is to replicate yourself.
Okay.
In terms of your ideas, your values, your way of working, your ethics, and all of those things, whilst making money. Most of the time, we tend to focus on addition, not multiplication. But the principle in the kingdom is multiplication. So I can have as many people as possible attending my church. That is thousands. But if I'm not multiplying, then I'm still failing as a leader.
Okay. Mfundisi, don't lose that thought. I want you to expand on multiplication. Give us examples of what do you mean by multiplication? Because but there are people here, and I call that multiplication. And if the fact that I have people does not necessarily mean that I've multiplied. It just means that I've got, that's an addition to my church or to the workplace. But the fact that there is someone walking in my footsteps, or there are people walking in my footsteps, in so many levels, multiplication. Okay.
So let's take another example. If I'm running a company and I end up having 2,000 employees,
yes,
I'm giving them a job, but I'm not multiplying who I am.
Okay.
So multiplication in that scenario would be, at the most basic, would be having people that I have taught who can be able to have their own businesses running equally the same as I am. That's multiplication. Addition is for me employing as many people as possible, but yet the vision still remains within me.
Okay.
If I die, it dies with me.
Okay.
But if I'm multiplying, then I am expanding myself. What I know, what I value, what I've learned, I pour those out to somebody else, such that they gain the capacity to do what I can do.
Okay.
As long as no one has the capacity to do what I do, I am just adding, I'm not multiplying.
Okay. So, Mfundisi, which means that we've been robbed of multiplication, because multiplication would say, in a business sense, we need to eliminate competition.
Yes.
So in that, I'll add you, I will not multiply you, because if I multiply you, I might have a competitor, or I might have someone who's doing it like another business. So I might lose you as a person. Because I might lose you to your own vision, and not to your own vision, but to a vision that I want to put it. So I might lose you apha emsebenzini, but ube wena multiply on another level kwenye indawo.
Yes.
Ndibe mna ndingenisa abanye umzekelo nabo multiplier nabo bathi bawufika baphume bayokwenza ezabo izinto until.
Yes, but you must understand this fundamental error in the business model is that, especially with capitalism, is that I am most important. I need to make as much money as possible with whatever it takes.
Okay.
If it takes me bumping you off the road so that I can gain your clients, then so be it. It's a survival of the fittest. So that principle in itself is not representative of the kingdom.
Okay.
That we must understand.
Okay.
The kingdom doesn't function in that spirit.
Mm.
The kingdom functions in that spirit that there's enough for everyone.
Yes.
Even at the top of the food chain, there is enough space for everyone. So multiplication becomes a means of expanding and not just including, because that's another term that is not kingdom-minded. So even when we talk, even in the development sector, we talk about creating inclusive spaces and all of those things.
Yes.
Who's already at the table and who needs to be
Included.
So when we're talking kingdom, we're primarily talking about expanding the table so that nobody feels like they're on the outside, because there is enough for everyone, and there is enough glory and honor for everyone, even at the top of the food chain. But the devil has robbed us to think that as long as I can work from a position of self-preservation, then I will make it in life. What we are seeing now in the falling systems, capitalism is in trouble worldwide, because the rich thought that if I make as much money as possible and not giving it away to those who don't have, I will be able to be safe in the long run. But what is actually causing cracks in capitalism is that it's not sustainable. That a few can have more than the rest of us. That in itself is not sustainable. And so there needs to be a dismantling of that mindset, of that way of thinking. That's part of the problem that we have even in the church, where if I'm the visionary, now everybody must come to me. And because I have the know-how, I have the Spirit of God, I have the revelation, I have the prophecy, so everyone must make a queue coming to me. But that's a failure in leadership, especially when we're viewing it from the kingdom. Success in the kingdom is how well have I been able to multiply myself.
Sure.
That people don't need me anymore. Not that they won't need me, but that they can sustainably function on their own, even in my absence.
Sure.
Now that's leadership. So the kingdom focuses on multiplication rather than addition. And I will give you another example. If you read in the book of Acts, the apostles focused on multiplication. What did God do? His response was to add to the church the number of those who were being saved.
Sure.
So they were sitting at the temple, teaching them, giving them everything that Jesus had taught them. In other words, they were multiplying themselves. Now, as they were doing so, and God was giving witness to their message, then God started adding. Because God doesn't add where there is no multiplication.
Wow.
And if you want to see God's addition, you won't run around. You will just multiply yourself and go. You will see God drawing to a place where they are able to be made.
Sure. So the principle of multiplication is not difficult. It's just that our minds have been programmed to addition, that addition is the best.
Definitely
so we need to
not.
change the mindset and
It's
take the
definitely
principle
not
of
difficult.
multiplication.
And this is what I also usually tell church pastors, is that you can evangelize and get 5 to 10 people. If you do the art of multiplication well with those that you've already have, you will never have to evangelize again.
Yeah.
You can grow a 500-seater church, having multiplied yourself to 5
people,
and you will never have to evangelize
again.
Because those 5 people will do the same and multiply themselves. The next thing you know, you have a house full of people.
Sure. Because that's what Christ did. It was the principle of Christ was simple. He as much as he had many followers, but he trained the 12. He trained the 12, and the 12 changed
Exactly.
the entire. That's why we got the gospel nut.
Exactly.
Sure.
We are where we are because Jesus understood this principle.
Sure.
Get people, multiply yourself, and that the vision will live for a very long time.
Okay, Fundis, Le multiplication singahlala kuyo, it's a topic on its own esingathetha ngayo and try and find examples. So the second thing, it's critical because I think the system, as you talk about it, the system is designed to say add so that you can depend on me. The system itself is designed like that. So I think it's the most important thing in this is unlearning and relearning the new thing that othetha ngayo ngoku, the multiplication versus the addition. What do you mean when you say high potential, low commitment?
So now here we are. We understand then this principle of multiplication. Where do I begin? So I want to throw this one as well into the mix. That not everyone who has potential will basically mature into that potential that they've shown. Sometimes we draw people in because they have the potential that we're looking for.
Okay.
But not everyone who has potential eventually becomes that which they're shown as potential.
Sure. Okay.
And so if you are going to then look at candidates of multiplication, even if it's beyond multiplication, but candidates of people that you want to activate into a higher level or into a higher responsibility.
Okay.
Potential alone is not enough.
Sure.
And this is a tested thing for me because you can get people of very high potential and you can see that this person can preach, or you can see that this person has the mind to be able to do this thing, but don't only check the potential, check the commitment. Because you would rather have a person of high commitment and low potential who will then produce the results than have a person of high potential with low commitment. That will never produce anything.
Sure.
So it's very, very important that you understand this principle, that it's not just potential that makes people of high impact. Commitment gives you the leverage to be able to build the capacity if the person doesn't have it. If you get a person of high potential, high commitment, you can go far. But if you get a person of high potential, low commitment, they will leave you along the way.
Sure.
The one thing you should check beyond potential is commitment. How committed is this person? If they are committed and they don't have the capacity, you can always build a capacity into them.
Okay.
But you can't build capacity of commitment to a high potential person.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mfundisi, uthi ke ngokumfundisi, a person angathembisa, simbone ba uyathembisa lo mzalwane, or uyathembisa lo muntu angayenza lento athi futhi ayenze, but if there's no commitment eyenze njalo, that person awukwazi urelya kuye ngokumultiplier. However, kukho umuntu engathi angathembi akathembisi, but this person is very is very committed. So that particular person, then you can build from. Okay.
Now you must check this, because whether it's revelation, whether it's vision, whether it's skill that you want to impart on this person, if they are highly committed, that already tells you a number of things. Amongst those things is that this person has grasped your heart. This person has grasped and is willing to stake whether his time, his money, or whatever into this thing. That's why he's committed.
Okay.
So in the places, in the areas where this person lacks, you can always capacitate them. But a person of high potential with low commitment has the tendency of, even sometimes has a tendency of using you just to get by. But immediately they get something better, they leave with their potential because they were never committed to what you are wanting to invest in them. So rather check people who are committed to what you are willing to invest to them, then you can work around that. Then looking, because potential alone is not enough.
Sure.
Most often, people never matured in their potential.
You've
got the high. You look at them, they can preach well, they have the mindset for preaching, they have the charisma for preaching, but they never reach the maturity.
The maturity.
To step into that leadership role.
Because they're not committed.
That's not what you check. You check the backside of things. Check the backside. Check the values. Check the commitment. Check all of those things that seem like they don't matter. That's where you will really get people of high impact, because then they will go with you a long way.
Okay. So what are the signs of a committed person? 2 or 3 of them. Just the signs of a committed person. Because of a high potential, this person can preach, this person can do this, but we are like Hishaman in committing. And you can see a person that ongafunu commit. There's a lot of things that are not dodging, but we are yonke lento ingaye, because kufuneke kugrunywe yena, kufuneke kuhoywe yena, kufuneke yonke lento it is about him. But when it comes to certain things efuneke zenziwe outside of the person, then the person can't give. And ezi zinto zizawubangela into yobana i-spotlight, because i-spotlight singashayini kuye, because a person of a high potential, most of the time they like the spotlight to shine on them. And because they have the charisma, because they know how to, so the spotlight needs to shine on them. But the person the person of commitment, what are the signs of that person?
So one of the things that's important, I love Jesus because the first thing he did, he encountered people of the law who had high potential to be able to take his message and impact it. So in other words, if Jesus had gone to the synagogues and spoken to the Sanhedrin or the Pharisees or the Sadducees, those were people of high potential. They were the guys who knew the law.
Yes.
They were the guys who already exerted influence amongst Israel. So if had any of them had a grasp in what Jesus was talking about and who he was and what his message was about, and used that as an upgrade to the system they already had, you would have seen something different. And Paul is a typical example of that.
Okay.
Paul was a learned Pharisee. We have the New Testament because Paul was a high potential guy, but also with a very high commitment.
Yes.
So when Jesus appeared to him, he understood who he was, he got the revelation, he committed himself fully, just as he had committed himself to the Pharisee movement. Such that we have 11 books of the Bible written by this guy.
Yes.
He turned the non-Jewish societies around.
Yeah.
That was a high potential guy with a high commitment. But the rest of the Pharisees, they were high potential but no commitment.
No commitment.
Now, with a person of high commitment, you must understand that, are they teachable?
Okay.
First point. Are they teachable? Now, Jesus puts the stakes very high. When he goes out and looks for his disciples, specifically the 12 guys, he comes across these guys. They are fishing. They are making a living. They are feeding their families. They are feeding their children. One word he says, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Now, when he's saying, I will make you fishers of men, he is not promising them wealth. He's not promising them success. He's not promising them anything. But these guys grasped the revelation and showed high levels of commitment. Now, people of high commitment, even if they are low potential, you will always see them when you ask them to follow. They follow without question. They follow without question. Not that there's nothing wrong with clarity, asking questions for clarity, but they followed without question. That showed how committed they are. If you are willing to leave your family behind and follow a stranger, how highly committed can you be?
Can you be? Yes. Sure.
That already in itself indicates that you are willing to lay everything down for this treasure you have found.
Sure.
Now, people of high commitment, if you are leading a church, you see it very easily. You ask, Mzalana, can you do this for me? If they are of high commitment, they won't question, they will go and do it. But people of high potential will always try and negotiate their way of out of situations. High potential, low commitment.
Low commitment.
They always negotiate. And at the end of the day, it's not that you are enforcing your will on them. At the end of the day, you are testing to see, is this person trustworthy?
Yeah.
Can this person produce? Because what you want at the end of the day is somebody who can produce.
Yeah.
Not just somebody who can talk, not just somebody who has great ideas but never produce anything. You want someone who can make things happen, make things materialize. Those are people of high commitment.
Sure.
They will try until they get it. If they don't get it, they will ask somebody else, and they will make the extra effort to gain the information that will enable them to produce. And you want those people in your corner.
Okay. The last point, Mfundisi.
So we go to the last point. So the last point we're looking at then, as a leader, one of the principles you need to then employ very, very diligently is that never expect something from people that you have never taught.
Yeah. Okay.
Secondly, don't expect somebody else to teach them for you. Make it a point that if my end goal is to reach 1,000 people, and out of those 1,000 people, I need to have at least 50 people well-trained, well-groomed, just as I am, to be able to take that task of reaching 50 people. I can't leave it to chance that these people know what needs to be done.
Okay.
I have to make it a point, even if it sets me back. Because I engage some pastors, and you realize that they are preaching themselves to death. They want to do everything. And then those who are following them or assisting them in that task are expected to function at a high capacity as the pastor, but they were never taught to be at that level. And when they don't, they feel so much pressure that many of them either burn out or walk out.
Sure.
So what you need to do as a pastor or as a leader or whatever, wherever you are leading, try not to ask out of people that which you have not.
You have not.
In actual fact, you don't have a right. So if you don't teach me how to do it the way you expect me to do it, then don't ask of me why I did not do it the way you expected.
You expected it. Because
there's no negotiation there. So if a leader is failing to multiply people of equal capacity as he is, it's never the people's fault. It's always your fault.
It's always your fault.
Because then we ask the question, what have you invested?
Because kaloku awukwazi ukuthi ebantwini mbani uhlakula igadi ungazange bangazange bakubona uyihlakula. Funeka uhlako uthi masambeni siyohlakula igadi bazokubona ukuthi we are in this together, because it gives them a sense of that commitment again, ukuthi lo muntu usileader is committed ekuhlakuleni le gadi, so we might as well nathi do it because we see him doing it. And ke ngoku sizawuthi yinto esiyifunde kuye lena siyenzayo, and ke ngoku which gives us ke ngoku xa sisithi sifika kule gadi, xa ndinayo nale potential yokubona beyond that ukuthi masingatyaleni itswele qha because there's too much soil here, we can singatyala nebeetroot, singatyala nekhaphetshu, singatyala nento ethile, which means now nam ndilapha le nto indinika umdla wokuthi nam ndikwazi ukuthetha, ndikwazi ukubonisa, because if uthi mandityala itswele wena uzange walityala itswele, chances are ndizawutyala itswele qha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially, I think, let us throw this one, especially to pastors. Let's throw this one. Because a lot of pastors are in a dream world. They live in a dream world. They want a 500 capacity church or 1,000 capacity church. But look at their leadership. Their leadership structure or even their leadership capacity can't manage 1,000. And then they go on to fasting and prayer and all of those things, attend every seminar and all of those things, thinking that they will eventually get 1,000 capacity. But I want to tell them this. I want to tell our listeners this. You can't build 1,000 capacity church with people who have a 20 capacity mandate.
Man, sure.
So you have to increase the capacity of your current leadership, and that don't outsource it. Do it. Teach them the way you want them to reach out to people.
Yes.
And you should spend at least 70% of your time investing in those people in the detail.
Here.
So that the output, even if the output produces 50%, but you know that 50% is quality.
Is quality.
So you have to employ this principle. You can't outsource this method of multiplication. You multiply yourself.
Yeah.
Because your expectations are going to be personalized. You won't have expectations like Bishop Musa Sono. He has his own way of doing things. He has his own expectations and style. But your expectations are customized to you. So whatever you are going to expect from your leadership, it must be your input that goes into it. Most pastors don't pay attention to this.
Sure.
And I will throw this one for free.
Yeah.
If at most you want to expand, at least get this principle correct. You must at least have one trained or one well-discipled leader per 50 people in your church.
Sure.
Beyond that, you can't manage. You don't have the capacity. You simply won't have the capacity. So spending time grooming and developing leadership, even if you feel like it's setting you back because you have the urgency to evangelize and do this and run seminars and run conferences or whatever, even if you feel that urge, that won't help you in the long run. If you're investing for the future, rather invest in people, not in people. Spend your time with your people, invest in them. And I can assure you, if you do that consistently, at the end of the day, you will see the result.
Sure.
They will pay in dividends. They will pay in 100-fold. They will pay in 1,000-fold.
Yeah.
So that principle is crucial. Never expect from people that which you have not invested. You are like a Pharisee in that way. Because that's what Jesus rebukes them for.
Yeah.
He says, you put a load on people's shoulders that you yourself are not willing to.
Yeah. Liske libe lincinci neli xesha mfundisi sithi sisaqhuba ixesha lisishiye masiyibamba apha for today. I think izawulidishela to another topic as siqhubeka ke nge-leadership lena. Nkosi kakhulu ke mfundisi. Okay, this was a mouthful today. The principles of leadership were a mouthful. There's so much that I've learned, and there's so much I'm sure our listeners have also learned. It is vital and imperative that when we get such teachings, we unlearn and relearn what we've learned. And with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. We would like for you to tune in again, and don't forget to like our page on Facebook, Kisima Radio, and go to our YouTube channel again and subscribe at the bottom. We love you. God bless you.